I wonder if you hear that, probably hear that, the heat's on. Hello. Didn't realize this was gonna happen. That's where we are today. Yep. Hey guys, Travis here. Part of the JPM Academy. Wanted to give like a quick tutorial on tentacles and how to get started for those of you who have little to no experience with it and you're starting to get into it now. Personally, I think the tentacle systems are just simple. I don't have any experience with anything else. Still pretty novice with all of this, but not novice enough not, to not be able to give this explanation. All right, getting things started, let's just go over kind of the gear. Here's a Tentacle sync. I have two of them here. I have the other two on my other two cameras. I do have the Tentacle lav mic. I'd like to show you how to connect it to the camera, and there are two different ways of doing it. I'm also going to be showing how to connect it to your field recorders, because most likely you'll be using a field recorder, maybe connecting to DJ or anywhere else. It might come in handy. My field recorder of choice now is the Zoom F6. It used to be the H6, and you could actually still use Tentacles with the H6. So if you don't have a device that has a way of inputting timecode directly, like the Zoom F6 does, and you do have the ability to put in a 3.5, you can still use it. So we'll go over the basics of, let's obviously first put your tentacle on. There are two ways of getting the tentacle going. One is to press up the power button, power slider, until you get the red. The other has to do with holding down the power slider until it turns green. I don't use this ever. I think this is how you would push, you would jam sync timecode into this. I don't want to make this complicated. It's very simple. For me, I just turn it on. Everything's red. Let me actually turn on the lav mic as well. Everything happens within the Tentacle app. And they come with all these names. Personally, I kind of like the names that they all come with. And they also come with these rubber bands, so you can change the color for every one of them that you have. It's nifty. It's a nice idea. Like, they really thought of it, in my opinion, what makes them a pretty good company. I already have two timecode units running, one on each of my cameras, the overhead, which you see right here, and the main camera. This would be Lavina, who is clearly not doing well right now because I did not charge her. And this would be the lav mic that's up here. What's not on here right now is this one. I don't know what it's going to name it. It's going to give it a cute name. First, let's add the device. So this is how you add device. You turn it on and you add device and basically choose it. Move the tentacle very close to this device to start using it. And that's it. So they named it Ninfa. Tia is also a lav mic that I have that's not on right now. She's upstairs. But notice that you will get an error message if your devices aren't in sync. So we're going to sync them. And when you go to sync your devices, everything's turned on. Everything has to be synced up. You have to choose a frame rate in which they're going to be synced. For this, I'm doing everything in 30 frames. I'm actually 29.97. I've been asked about the whole mixed frame rate. So when I do sync another camera, I'll put that on 60 frames and I'll show you how that works. Just a quick caveat: when you're using timecode at 24 frames per second, you're fine. There's no like extra option. It's just straight up timecode. If you are going to use anything above 24 frames per second, now you have to deal with, do you want to run it with drop frames or not? I don't understand when you would use drop frames versus when you wouldn't. And I'm, hopefully technical aspect of this can be taken care of by somebody in the comments. Maybe Justin will jump in, but timecode format, this is on a Sony camera, would be non-drop frame, NDF. I just deal with non-drop frames. I double check that all my cameras are set to non-drop frames. For the Sony cameras, it's usually in the shooting menu, TC, UB, you get in there, and you would choose non-drop frames. I've had Sony's come default with drop frames on and drop frames off. It's so, I just always double check. It makes a big difference because then you'll have problems syncing in post. Okay, So this is the A7 IV. It is on. My drop frames are my format set to non-drop frames. I'm going to make sure that I'm set to 30 frames per second, and Sony that's 29.97. Cool. All right. So the first way, and one of the more common ways to use timecode when you don't have kind of like a timecode input like the FX3 does, which I'll go over. You take the timecode, there's a 3.5 that Tentacle sends you. You plug this into your camera's audio input, like your mic input. If you have not synced the devices yet, you're not really going to see anything happen here on the audio levels. So we're going to go back into the app for a second, and I'm going to choose to sync everything, and that's a little sync button here at the bottom, at 29.97 FPS. Now, your options are here. It could be 23.98. Sony users know that that's what it is. It's not 24 even, unless you're shooting a special mode. Not going to go over that. 24, 25, 29.97, 30 FPS. So the 29.97 FPS, you could see it here, is 29.97 FPS drop frames. The other one is just, it's not drop frames, so that's what we're going to stick with, and we're going to start. So you'll see that it goes through the process of actually connecting to everything and syncing it all together. Once everything is all here sunk, you'll see everything in green. Verifying sync should be done. And it's ready. Everything is now ready to go. When you go to the camera, you go to audio levels, your timecode device is going to be delivering timecode in an audio format to the left channel of your camera. You want to go into your menu and go to your audio levels. You want to make sure that it's at -12 dB. Once that's set, you're good to go. At this point, your camera is going to be recording everything for the rest of the day, and that sound is going to be playing in that left channel. The right channel is this mic that's somewhere on here. I think it's like right here. I can't remember. But oh no, it's right here. But there's a mic onto this in case you want some scratch audio. It's going to be on the right channel only. Nifty thing about the Tentacles, they have this kind of like Velcro to them. I for some of the cameras, I do use another Velcro and I just stick it there, right there. It's done. So this one's on. For the purpose of this, I think I mentioned to y'all before, I was going to try to show you what mixed frame rates would result in. So, I'm actually going to change this to 60 FPS. Well, that will record me right there. Okay, cool. So that's just gonna stay on record over there. For the FX3 and the FX30s, there's a timecode to USB wire. So you don't have to plug it into your mic input. Instead, you would plug it into the USB on the side. So you'd plug it into USB on the side. Obviously, you should have probably plugged it into your Tentacle itself. I'm just double checking my frame rate. That's right. I want to make sure I'm not drop frame, which is a nightmare. And yeah, cool, awesome. So if you don't see your timecode here at the top, just go to your menu and go to display option in TCUB display settings. Make sure that's set to TC. Cool. I guess I could leave this running too for fun. Nope. Okay. Okay, so on to lav mics. Remember, we're already synced. It's all synced in. We're good. Okay. All we have to do now is hit record. Right from the Tentacle app. Boom. I hit it once, sorry. It'll start to record. You could do it from here too. I just do it from the app. You'll see that this turns red. And now we're recording. Go ahead and put this on your subject and you're good to go. You can leave it for quite some time. Stopping it is as simple. You have to hold down the button. It really does make it kind of, I wouldn't say foolproof, but you can't just tap it and it'll stop. You have to hold down the button and make it stop. Now, you're at a wedding and now you have to attach your field recorder to the DJ booth, wherever, okay? Unfortunately, for the purpose of this, I'm going to yoink the timecode out of my FX3. And actually, it keeps the timecode in there. So it's kind of like a jam sync, but don't do that. For the Zoom F6, there's a timecode in and output. You're just going to throw that in the input. I don't think I should get into too many details regarding like how to use the F6, but on your field recorders, do make sure there should be options, especially timecode related options, that you change your frame rate to also match that 29.97. And, non-drop frames or drop frames. In our case, we're all about the non-drop frames. And here, hit record. Cool. And let's switch now. We're on my Zoom F6 with my Audio-Technica mic. And if anybody was curious, this is the way that everything sounds like from a Tentacle mic. I'm not going to EQ this. I'm just going to leave it as is. And let me actually backtrack. One cool thing about this, and I completely forgot, is that you can monitor. If you click right on to the lav mic and you want to monitor this, you can click that right, see here, and hold up to ear, and now you can hear yourself or hear subject talking. Pretty good, pretty cool to be recording and be able to monitor at the same time. For those of you who don't have a field recorder with timecode in there, but you do have a field recorder and it has multi-channel, just make sure that your channels are being recorded separately, and you can actually throw this into the 3.5. So you will get the timecode built into this audio, but unfortunately, like DaVinci, it does not detect audio timecode on an audio file. You would have to find an alternative way to sync this in. It's possible with the Tentacle Sync app. If there's a request for it, I can show you guys how to do it with the Tentacle Sync app. I do want to make like a follow-up video to this. If you like this video, or if Justin wants me to, I'll make a follow-up video to this one that shows the steps and how to do the syncing.